All right. Hey, Melissa. You guys know that we are doing this incredible series called Watch Her Work at Home. And our one of our first guests is Melissa Hensley. Hi, Melissa.
Hi.
Okay, so first, one of the objectives of this whole program is to understand how people are doing it, what this whole experience is meaning to them, how the world has changed, and how your individual worlds have changed. And I think that there's such a great opportunity to learn from each other and to see and hear just best practices and true emotions. So let's start at the very beginning. What do you do?
I am a strategic communications consultant. About in the last 2 years, I started building a practice called Hensley Consulting. I have a communications, marketing, consulting, corporate background. So I have worked in giant corporate environments. I worked in small offices. I have a real varied background, and it just felt like the right thing to do to go out on my own about 2 years ago.
So you've been basically working remotely and working outside of a big organization for 2 years. So this
Yeah.
is not this idea of like working from home and kind of operating your business from home is not brand new to you, right? But didn't you recently start going to a co-working space? Like what made you start doing that?
I did. So I think, one of the things that I tell people about working from home or working remotely is to know yourself, which is hard, right? I mean, we think we kind of know what environment we need to focus. We think we know what motivates us, but it took a lot of months and a lot of asking myself questions along the way to figure out that while I've set up my environment at home to be the best possible work environment I can, I still needed a little bit more structure than I was able to give myself at home. And that structure for me was I needed to get up in the morning, put clothes on, get out of my pajamas, and go and sit in an office environment around people with a similar work energy. And it's not, a lot of work environments, a lot of bosses, a lot of CEOs who are a little bit concerned about letting their people go, right? Some of the offices that still haven't quite let people work on their own, work remotely because they're unsure if they're going to be motivated enough. I think in their minds, they think that what you really need is you need someone looking over your shoulder all the time. I didn't need that at all, but I did need just an environment in which my laundry wasn't sitting somewhere for me to fold.
Calling you, beckoning you.
That's right. My kitchen wasn't there. There wasn't other stuff to sort of pull my focus. And there was a work energy around me, people working, people producing. That was really good for me. So now I'm back at home and I'm readjusting.
Right, right. And I think that people are underestimating like the difference that not having that work energy. I mean, those of us that have been working in a kind of remote environment, solo environment for a while, we've already kind of been struggling with it and managing it. But for people who have never worked from home before, I mean, this is going to be a really profound shift for them. So
No
what
question.
advice, what tips, what suggestions do you have for people who have never done this before?
So I have a few thoughts, but first I have to say the luxury that I have in this particular situation, everyone's life at home doesn't look the same.
Right.
Um, I don't have children and entertain in the midst of all of this like some folks do. My situation is one in which I do have a life partner who's at home with me, and he and I have and that's been the case for some time now. So he offices. I have a structured office for me. I have
That's
a room
great.
that I go to.
You have a door.
Um, and with a door, it's got a desk, it's got a light. There, it looks and feels to the extent that I can make it at home like an office. He's on a different floor. He's operating at the dining room table. And that's required
Yeah.
here. But again, I don't have kids that I'm trying to entertain. I don't have dogs that are in my space and need to be walked every, few hours. I don't have those kinds of things. But for me, what I've done and the advice that I would give is, again, look, the beauty of this moment is that, and it may be hard for you to find your spot. You have to ask yourself these questions along the way. But you've been operating, if you've been working in an office all this time, you've been operating on someone else's rhythm. You've been operating with someone else's rules, in someone else's environment, with someone else's rhythm. The printer is where someone else put it. The next desk over is where someone else decided it should be. This is your chance to figure out what makes you focus. What do you need? What does the lighting in your space need to be? All the women out there know that in the office you've been working in, some probably man decided what the temperature was going to be.
It's freezing.
You get to make that decision now. So that's a luxury. That's a great thing. So try to take advantage of that and structure your space and your time in a way that feeds you, that helps you focus. The hard part is, I don't think we all know ourselves. And it took me a year and a half to figure out that I needed a co-working space.
Right.
So ask yourself, anytime you get off focus, ask yourself what got you off focus.
Right.
And maybe as simple as you needed to get some nutrition in your stomach, but it also might be that the noise level isn't what it's supposed to be, or that the light is off, or, whatever those things are. So keep asking yourself those questions to sort of create the environment that works for you. This is the chance to do that.
I think that is such incredible advice. Incredible, because that's you couldn't have said it any better. You don't even know yourself. You don't know. Maybe you've been getting up to do your workout at 6 o'clock in the morning because that's the schedule that your work schedule allowed. Maybe you'd be better off doing it at 12.
Yeah.
And revving your body up so that you can get through the afternoon's productivity. Like, you don't even know. And now you have the ability and the flexibility to kind of figure some of those things out, right? You don't know that the food you've been eating has been high salt, high sugar, and how that's impacting you because you go out to lunch and you eat whatever's in, around the office. And now you're like, wait, I can control every calorie that goes into my mouth. Like, that's up to me now. Now, for some of us, the fact that if you have depleted all of your coronavirus snacks,
don't do that.
Don't do that.
Ration.
It's not good for you. And drinking water and like just whatever your schedule is. Like, so one of the things I kind of not worry about, but that is, it took a long time for me to figure out about myself, is that I am truly a night owl. Like, I am so productive from 3 to 12. It is night and day. I don't even know why people get up in the morning. Really, it's terrible. So it's really interesting to me. It's going to be interesting to see if employers will allow you to slip into your natural rhythm, or if they're going to take a productivity deliverable approach, or if they're going to take an hourly approach. And I think that's going to be a really interesting thing that's going to play out in the next couple of weeks. But I want to invite people to pay attention to that about themselves. Like, you may be able to crank out those 5 reports from 8 to 10 because that's when the kids are in bed, right? And so I think this advice that you've given us about, like, learn yourself and understand what your normal rhythm is, and try to concentrate on the deliverables and creating the variables and the environment that let those deliverables come out of you is so important. How are you managing your mood, your energy? I mean, this is such a stressful situation. It's so much anxiety all around us. How are you staying productive?
For me, it's a couple of things. And these are things that I always have to do. I have to probably be more vigilant about it right now, given the mental distractions and the things that sort of deplete us right now. Getting sleep, getting proper nutrition.
Wait, you're not staying up until 3 o'clock in the morning watching YouTube videos about Armageddon?
I'm so trying not to. I'm so trying not to. I'm really trying. Now, again, I'm ahead of the game because I've been in control of my schedule for several years now.
Definitely.
So I have figured out that even when I have the ability to sleep until noon and, sort of, even on days when I don't have to be up for an 8 a.m. meeting, I figured out that what's best for me is get 8 hours of sleep and be up early. Early for me is 7 o'clock. Early for others is far earlier than that. But be up early. That gives me the feeling that I'm not behind when I get up. I tend to wake up with that feeling like everyone else is, the people, my clients and my partners, that everything's gotten ahead of me. So if I have a chance to get up a little bit early, it makes me feel like I'm catching everything at the beginning instead of halfway through. So that keeps me feeling peaceful. And then making sure that I drink lots of water and eat good nutrition and at a regimented schedule. And for me, that's been the case for a good long while. So again, I'm ahead of the game a little bit because I've been doing it for a bit, but I would suggest for people who are really finding their own rhythm in all of this to try and keep whatever structure you need. The other thing is, if I need to take a nap at 2 o'clock, I'm going to take a nap at 2 o'clock. Unless I have a meeting, unless I've got a call, there's no one to tell me I can't take my afternoon nap or go for a walk. There's definitely times, in fact, that's how one of the ways I picked my co-working space that I was in for the last several months is the neighborhood in which it was located. And I could, if I felt like I was getting off focus, if I felt like I was getting distracted, if I found that I read the same 2 paragraphs 15 times and I still wasn't processing it, then I would get up and I would go walk a few blocks and I would come back if it was a nice day. And that sort of gave me a chance to clear my head, get some, fresh air and start over. So again, I feel like it all comes back to make sure you keep asking yourself the questions. What's working and what's not? How am I feeling? Like, sort of take your own temperature every now and then, your own emotional temperature, and figure out am I feeling like I'm focused right now? Am I feeling like I'm doing the right things? And if I find that I'm super distracted, or if my energy is waning, or if I'm getting emotionally sort of sent down a rabbit hole, then every answer to every question is not always going to be the same, but ask the question. What's causing it? And what can I do about it?
I love it. And, we can still go outside at this point. And I think sometimes people are, of course, if you are in a super high risk space, you don't need to do that. But, I think it's still important to go outside and get some sunshine on your face if you're not in a super high risk group. But I think it's important to be in tune with yourself and stay in contact with how you're feeling. Like, this is a very stressful situation. And I know that some people are like throwing themselves into this crazy productivity. And some people are like really just chilling out and just letting themselves feel it and letting themselves go through it. Where do you feel you are on that continuum?
I feel pretty energized right now, and that's a little bit of a double-edged sword. I find that I have a little bit of nervous energy currently. I really, and in fact, I had said to my partner a couple days ago, when we really decided we're about to lock down, we've got our supplies. Any appointments have been face-to-face appointments have been rescheduled or canceled. Gym is closed, all of those things. We're going to lock down now for at least for the next several weeks. I said to him, all right, I'm going to wallow tomorrow. I'm going to spend the day wallowing tomorrow, because I also have clients that have put on pause and was feeling a little sorry for myself and a little stressed. And so I said, I'm going to wallow tomorrow. And then the next day, I'm going to hit the ground running. And I woke up on Wallow Day. I woke up on Wallow Day just with a long list of things that I wanted to get done. So I find that I have some nervous energy and I'm trying to capture that.
Right. Right.
Because
You did for good.
there's a point at which there is absolutely going to be a Netflix and chill all day long
Yes.
day.
I see it in my future as well.
So while I've got the energy, I'm trying not to waste it.
I love that. I love that. And I think it's so important to like make that big list of all the things that you never have time to do. Now you have some time to do them, you know, and pick one or two whenever you feel like you're spiraling. Maybe it's wash your makeup brushes. Maybe it's organize your Google Drive. Maybe it's like revisit the receipts that you were supposed to submit last year for that expense thing that you didn't do. You know, I mean, like we all have things that we have the opportunity to do right now to utilize that hectic, frenetic energy. So great. Okay, so if you have to leave us with one nugget, one piece of advice, one thought, what would it be for the Watch Your Work at Home audience?
I think I think the biggest thing is this is your chance to find your rhythm. This is your chance. Again, you've been operating in someone else's environment, on someone else's rhythm, with someone else's stuff all this time. And this is your chance to figure out what really works for you. I do actually have one more thing to say that's for the employers out there.
Okay.
So I know we're in a big way here, we're talking to the people, the individuals, the employees, or the consultants, or the freelancers who are working from home. But employers out there also need to consider the ones that have sent their employees home for the first time ever to work from home. Are you resourcing your employees appropriately? Have you sent them home? Are they set up for a success? Do they have a printer if they need it? Do they have a laptop? Do they have a work laptop, or are you requiring them to work off of their own? Should you resource them appropriately for those things? That can add a level of stress to the employee that is really hard to calculate, and an inability to be productive if you've been resourced in a certain way in the office and now they've simply sent you you to be as productive as you've always been. So one final message to employers: think about your employees and what you need for them to be as productive as you need them to be right now. Are you giving them the tools for success?
Absolutely. Could not have said it better. And I think the flip side of that too is, you know, as an employee, have the courage to ask for that. Right.
Sure.
Like, you know, some of us, we're seeing glitches. We're doing our Zoom right now, and think of all the Wi-Fi, the bandwidth that's required for all of these people to go home, for all of the kids to go home and be doing online school. Like, I mean, the demand on our infrastructure is really high right now. Well, you know, maybe you need to talk to your employer. Can you help me go up to the next level on my cable, you know, at my internet access at home? Get the tools that you need. Figure out what that looks like and be, you know, your self advocate. And I would say that specifically for people who are, you know, they're caring for a senior citizen, or they're caring for small children, or they have a different level of, you know, responsibility in this situation that differs from you or I think, like, be your advocate and say what you need to be able to produce the work that you have to produce. So that's so well put, so well said. And I'm working on those things myself today. Like, I've sent my team home, and you know, we do a lot of video editing, and you can imagine, you know, we have a certain infrastructure available here, but that infrastructure is not available at home for them. So what might have taken, you know, 10 minutes to do here takes an hour to do there. You know, it's like, okay, well, I have to adjust my expectations of productivity or figure out how to support them. So you are absolutely right. It couldn't have been a better point. And I'm so glad that we have had this chance to chat this morning, and to get a chance to hear a few best practices, a few tips. We're all in this together. And people like you who have been doing it yourself for a while are such a good fountain of resources. And I'll also add, you are the best crisis communication person that I know. And so if anyone's trying to catch up with you, how do they find you? Where are you? To share your website and your contact info.
Thank you. mhensleyconsulting.com. And there's a form on there that you can fill out and it'll send an email straight to me, or you can email me at Melissa, Melissa, at mhensleyconsulting.com. Happy to help.
Perfect, perfect, perfect. All right. Thanks so much and keep it positive.
Thank you.